Okay, so I'll go ahead and call the meeting of the May 29th, 2025 TRPA Hearings Officer meeting to order. It's 2 p.m. My name is Marcia Birch, and I'll be serving as the hearings officer today. So the first item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. Have there been any changes to the agenda?
No, there have not.
All right, then I'll go ahead and approve the agenda as it was posted. Item 3 is public interest comments for no action. Any member of the public who wishes to address the hearings officer on any item that is not listed as a public hearing item on the agenda may do so at this time. Public comments on any public hearing item will be taken at the time those agenda items are heard. The hearings officer is prohibited by law from taking immediate action on or discussing issues raised by the public that are not listed on the agenda. All right, so we can see if there are any public interest comments.
Great. Any members of the public wishing to comment at this time, please raise your hand now by clicking on the raised hand button at the bottom of your Zoom screen. There are no hands raised to comment.
All right, then I will close the public interest comment section of this meeting and go to item 4, announcement of appeal rights. Any decision of the hearings officer is appealable to the TRPA governing board. The notice of appeal, which can be found on TRPA's website, and the associated fees must be filed within 21 days of the hearings officer's decision. All right, so that brings us to our public hearing items. And we have 2 items on the agenda today. And we'll start with item A. This is I hope I pronounced this right. La Gracia Property 1 LLC tear down and rebuild 3675 Idlewild Way and 3670 Westlake Boulevard, Placer County, California. Assessor's parcel number 085-190-002 and 085-190-09. TRPA file number ERSP 2024-1887. Right, and I believe this is Julie's item. Julie Roll.
Actually, this is going to be Jennifer Self.
Oh, sorry, Jen. Okay, so this is Jen Self's item. Go ahead, Jen.
No problem. Thank you, Marcia. Jen Self for the record, principal planner with TRPA. This proposed project includes demolishing and rebuilding of an existing historic main house located at the address on the screen, and as you mentioned in the intro to this. As part of the project, there's also going to be an expansion of the driveway and modification to walkways throughout the property. The property does also contain a guest house and a pier. So looking at the kind of contextual map on the screen, this is the lakefront parcel. That's the subject property. That particular property also contains a guest house and a pier, which will not be modified as part of this project. The project does include the parcel adjacent to what's the private roadway, Idlewild Way, due to the fact that the project does require a deed restriction for coverage purposes. So there is no modification to structures on the larger of the parcel that's along Westlake Boulevard. The subject parcel is really that lakefront, but for coverage purposes, both are included as a project area as part of this. We're here before the hearings officer today due to the existence of a historic resource. So that lakefront parcel, the subject parcel, does contain historic resources, and per TRPA Code Chapter 2, any addition, modification, or demolition of a historic resource does require a public hearing and review and approval by the hearings officer. The eligible historic structure was deemed historic in February of this year. The applicant has been working with a local architectural historian, Michelle Smitter, to document the property for the assessment purposes of the historic determination, and then also for the mitigation for the loss and proposed demolition of the resource. It's eligible as a historic resource under the TRPA code for its architectural style. And it was designed by a locally known architect. Jessica, if you could go to the next slide. Here's just a photo of the existing residence as it is today and the existing site plan. As mentioned, as part of the demolition, TRPA does require mitigation for the loss of the historic resource, which is in part standardized historic structure report. That has actually already been completed by the applicant, by Michelle Smitter, and submitted to TRPA for review. As part of that mitigation, that local or that historic report will be donated to local historical societies and saved on record at TRPA. Along with the report, there's also photographs, and this documentation does serve as the mitigation for the loss of that resources. Property owners within 300 feet of the site were notified. As of today, TRPA has not received any public comment regarding the proposed project. And if you could go to the next slide, please. And this is just showing the proposed, which is a new single family dwelling that's going to be on the subject parcel. The applicant does, you can go to the next slide. The applicant does plan to come in for future modifications on the adjacent parcel. There's actually an application in with TRPA for the adjacent parcel, and then a future project regarding the pier. So that's the end of my presentation. Happy to answer any questions regarding the project. We also have Jesse Walker and John Paul from WBA and Associates with us here today. The project was reviewed by our outsourced consultants, and I believe the applicant's representative is online as well if there's any questions.
All right, thank you, Jen. I don't have any questions at the moment. The staff report was very thorough, but I would like to give the applicant's representatives an opportunity to speak.
Wyatt, please feel free to unmute yourself.
Got it. Thank you. Wyatt Ogilvy in representation of the applicant and LLC. Just wanted to say thanks to both Jesse Walker at Wells Barnett and Jennifer Self and completing thorough review. We've read the entirety of the staff summary and the conditions of approval and don't have any comments unless there's anything that we can address for you, Marcia. We're in agreement with both the findings and the conditions of approval as they sit today.
All right, thank you, Wyatt.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Jessica, let's see if there are any public comments in the room and online.
There's no members of the public in the room, so I'll go to online. If any member of the public wishes to comment on this item, please raise your hand now by clicking on the raise hand button at the bottom of your Zoom screen. There are no hands raised to comment on this item.
Okay, thank you, Jessica. I actually do have one question, Jen. So there will be a deed restriction, a project area deed restriction recorded for these two parcels.
That is correct. Yep.
Okay. Okay, so as that new application that's coming in or has already come in for the other parcel, that will be taken into account, that deed restriction.
That is correct, yes. And that application, the applicant has requested outsourced review. So that's actually with WBA as well. And so they're well aware of that project area deed restriction for coverage purposes.
All right. Thank you, Jen. All right, so I will go ahead and close the public hearing and take action on this project. I will approve the findings contained in the staff summary and approve the project based on the staff summary and record evidence, subject to the conditions contained in the draft TRPA permit. All right, so we will go on to item B, 5B. This is the Garnero residential modification of eligible historic resource, APN 026241002, TRPA file number ERSP 2025-0329. And this is Julie Roll's item. And Julie, for the record, if you could say which county this is in.
Sure, yes, Julie, roll for the record, and yeah, I'm not sure how I left the address off there, but this is located at 919 Los Angeles Avenue, which is located within the city of South Lake Tahoe. So this is another modification to an eligible historic resource. So I'm going to piggyback off of what Jennifer just described with her project. Although this one's a little bit smaller in scope, it's actually just a small addition to the existing single-story cabin. They're just doing a 199 square foot bump out to increase the living area for their kitchen. The original cabin was built in 1931 and it's located within the Tahoe Harrison Historic District. And the same property owner came in 2020 for an attached garage addition. So that was approved and built thereafter. So now this project is just the kitchen addition, 199 square feet. And because it is still modifying an eligible historic resource, we're requiring the same mitigation that Jen described with the resource recovery plan, where they're going to have a report from a qualified historic architectural historian, photographs and everything that we can donate to the local historic society. So I don't have anything else, but again, welcome any questions.
All right, thank you, Julie. I looked through the staff report and I don't have any questions at the moment, but I'd like to go ahead and give the applicants' representatives an opportunity to speak.
Victoria Garcia.
Yes.
Victoria Garcia, feel free to unmute yourself. Victoria, it looks like you're unmuted on our end.
Hi, can you hear me?
Oh,
Yes,
yes.
I can hear you.
There we go. Hi. Yeah, I'm Victoria Garcia with Sudhausen Design and Draft. We have no comments, but happy to answer any questions if you have them.
All right, thank you, Victoria.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and open this up to public comment.
Any member of the public wishing to comment on this item, please raise your hand now by clicking on the raise hand button at the bottom of your Zoom screen. There are no hands raised to comment on this item.
Thank you. Thank you, Jessica. And thank you, Jen and Julie, for the great staff reports today. I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing and take action. I'll approve the findings contained in the staff summary and a mitigated finding of no significant environmental effect, and approve the project based on the staff summary and record evidence subject to the conditions contained in the draft TRPA permit. All right, so that concludes our public hearing items, and we can go ahead and adjourn at 2:13 p.m.
Thank you, Marcia.
Thank you.